What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more classical music, and I've been waiting to do this one, or I've had it in my to-do list for some time, even before I did the last classical reaction, which was Bach's Toccata and Fugue, the orchestral version. But yeah, I just for one reason or another, whether it was I gotta make sure, I'm doing enough synth pop reactions and make sure I'm still doing a couple punk rock reactions and techno reactions, and just through balancing everything, it just kept slipping down the list. So I'm happy to finally get to it. We're gonna listen to a series of, or one technically tone poem. It's in 4 parts. There are 4 movements essentially. But we're going to listen to a tune by Ottorino Resphighi, an Italian composer, lived from the last quarter of the 19th century up until about a third of the way into the 20th century. I think he died 36. He composed the piece we're going to listen to, The Pines of Rome, in 1924, or at least that's when he completed it. It was the second of 3 Rome-related tone poems he wrote, and indeed all 3 are on this CD, so if you really enjoy this, let me know, and I can come back for the other 2. The first one he wrote was The Fountains of Rome, then he wrote this, The Pines of Rome, and then the last tone poem he wrote in relation to the Italian capital, as it would become in the Italian state, which admittedly, that process of, Italy becoming a unified nation, that took place over the course of his life. But regardless, Roman Festivals was the final one that he composed. So again, we're going to listen to Pines of Rome, which perhaps is the most famous of the 3. I enjoy them all, and I think I got this CD pretty early on, in my adult life, meaning when I graduated high school, right into my first couple semesters of college, I was taking music history classes, and I got very much into classical music, even more than I had already been. And I think I got this CD around that time, so maybe '01, maybe even 2000. So I kind of think of them all together. I think of the Pines of Rome, Fountains of Rome, Roman Festivals all together. But again, I think maybe the Pines of Rome are the most famous, and in part that might be because the Fantasia 2000, the second Fantasia movie that the Disney people made, that included the Pines of Rome in a very prominent sequence, and it's ultimately whales that begin to fly, and you're sort of focusing on this young whale and its struggles and its endeavors and so on, that eventually there's a whole fleet of whales flying at the end. It's a cool video, and again, I think it captures one visual interpretation of the sonics, which is, again, one of the great things about music. Look, I love music with lyrics, but one of the cool things about music that doesn't have a lot of lyrics, whether it's classical music or techno or other types of instrumental music, is it allows your brain a little more interpretive and thematic license. It gives you a bit more visual options to sort of run with. So yeah, I do enjoy that. But yeah, we're going to listen to, as I said, The Pines of Rome, which consists of the pines of the Villa Borghese, the pines near a catacomb, the pines of the Janiculum, and the pines of the Appian Way. And if you know Roman history, the Appian Way, it's a very prominent geographical avenue, shall we say, in ancient Rome. So yeah, this is the Pines of Ancient Rome. It's conducted by Enrique Bátiz, and it's performed by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and the recording was made in mid-April of 1991. And the producer was Brian B. Culverhouse. So again, this is Enrique Bátiz conducting the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in Respighi's symphonic tone poem, The Pines of Rome, as I said, in 4 parts. Very excited, jubilant intro. Very sprightly. Movement and energy, but by sort of little things and little bursts of energy. And again, this is the Pines of the Villa Borghese. via. I think it's villa, right? It's not Spanish. The flute in particular gives off that like little sprightly sort of energy feel. It's a march, but again it's like a restrained, like smaller sort of march feel. It's not huge and like triumphant. Exuberant maybe, but not triumphant. And then suddenly, the dissonance of that. When I first heard this, I was like, whoa, someone's way ahead of his time here. It suddenly gets more contemplative, deeper, larger. Obviously, cellos or stand-up basses. I think it's mostly cellos, giving it that gravity. And again, I see why, part of the interpretation in the Fantasia film. Little young whales and so on, but big, wizened adult whales as well, and it like can already kind of feel an interpretation like that, given what we've heard. Piercing through what was otherwise a very like heavy, maybe not somber, but again like dense sort of section up to the brass. Feels sort of like late afternoon. I don't know why. I am trying to sort of see the pines of Rome, like not just take it in other directions, but lines near a catacomb, or catacomb, as they say in other places. That changed the mood a little bit. Still hear that oboe sort of guiding everything. Woodwinds really do sound like not only light and airy, but almost like evaporative. Bit of a tonal shift there. Still sort of light and airy, but there's some distortion. Dissonance in the system. Again, the idea that this is reflective of beautiful life near a catacomb, a repository of death. I get that tension, that contrast, and that evaporative, uncertain supernatural interpretations. I get that idea. Again, like right here. So is this like special to this version, or is like in the original score? Is it like, oh, there's bird sounds and there's bird song in this part? I don't know. But regardless, the next one up is, as this comes to a slow, gradual petering out, the Pines of the Geniculum. Bird had a lot to say. Marching, but much heavier than the march that I sort of felt at the beginning. More ominous flavor to this section. You're marching somewhere you don't want to go is what it feels like. That lead line trying to like pull you out of the darkness, it's different than everything else around it, which is heavy and like gnarled. I think this is the last one. I think this is the Appian Way, and it is. So I missed the transition from part 3 to part 4, but that's on me. But I knew that I was like, this is the Appian Way one, because this feels like the grand, ancient Rome at its grandest is what this feels like. like this one, I feel like standard words like grand or powerful or dramatic fail to really capture the scope of the aural expression and creativity we just heard. But yeah, I mean, that's like, again, in the Fantasia film, it's, you know, it makes sense that something of that power and like drama, you could imagine whales flying through the air en masse, but as I was hearing it there, and sort of, you know, because halfway through that whole experience, I like was trying to refocus it on that like Pines of Rome and like try to imagine that historical setting. In that last couple minutes, I really was like, you know, seeing again ancient Rome at its most vital, its most impressive, its most grand in terms of the sort of like physical environs of the city, both built and like natural, like the pines. But yeah, a very cool piece. Again, apologies that I sort of missed the transition from the second, the pines near a catacomb into pines of the, what is it, the Janiculum. Yeah, so that's my bad, because then, you know, as the Appian Way started, I was still thinking it was the third one, but once I remembered that the Appian Way gets like ridiculously powerful and grand, so by the time we got to that kind of moment, it was like, wait, I must have missed that, so that's on me, I do apologize. But yeah, shout out to Respighi, it's a monumental piece. Hopefully you're interested, because I do want to come back and do the Fountains of Rome and the Roman festivals now that I did this one. Shout out to Enrique Bátiz, as well as the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, as well as the Naxos label. I mentioned it before, Naxos got a lot of their CDs in the early 2000s because they offered a very economic like price range. You know, a lot of them were like $2.99, $4.99. So yeah, it was a cool way to build up my classical collection with an affordable classical CD label. You know, and again, I have a lot of Deutsche Grammophon and so on. I love that label, but yeah, a lot of those releases are more expensive. So again, shout out to Naxos. Do let me know what you think of the piece. Other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.